voices in her head saved her life. You need to get scanned, Sarah. You're running out of time. She was perfectly healthy. No symptoms, no illness, no reason to worry. But these voices in her head, they saved her life. Here's how it happened. March 1984. Sarah, a 35-year-old graphic designer from London, was living the kind of life most people dream of. Happy marriage, 2 kids, successful career. She was sitting at her kitchen table on a Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, when she heard it. A voice, clear as day, inside her head. You need to see a doctor. The coffee mug trembled in her hand. This wasn't her inner voice, her thoughts. This was someone else, speaking directly into her mind, as real as if they were sitting across from her at that very table. She looked around the empty kitchen. Her husband had left for work. The kids were upstairs. She was completely alone. Sarah, you need to see a doctor. Now her blood turned to ice. The voice knew her name, and it wasn't alone anymore. There were others, 3, maybe 4 distinct voices, all speaking with the same urgent, yet strangely gentle tone. Here's what's remarkable. Most people would panic. They'd think they were losing their mind. But Sarah, she wasn't terrified. Confused, yes, but these voices didn't feel threatening. They felt like concerned friends trying to help her. Over the next few days, they became relentless. Sarah, please, you must see a doctor. There's something wrong. You need to get scanned. They would wake her at 3 a.m. They would interrupt her work. They would whisper to her while she drove, making her grip the steering wheel tighter. Your head, Sarah. You need to have your head scanned. There's something there that shouldn't be there.
Have you ever had a feeling you couldn't shake? That nagging sense that something was wrong, even when everything seemed perfectly normal? That's what Sarah was experiencing, except it wasn't a feeling, it was voices giving her medical advice. After 2 weeks of this constant whispering, Sarah was exhausted. She hadn't told anyone because, frankly, who would believe her? But she was starting to question her own sanity. So she did what any rational person would do. She made an appointment with her family doctor. Dr. Margaret Thompson had known Sarah for 10 years. She immediately noticed something was off when Sarah nervously described her situation. Sarah, Dr. Thompson said after a thorough examination, what you're describing sounds like auditory hallucinations. I think we should have you see a psychiatrist. The moment those words left the doctor's mouth, the voices erupted. No, 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 not a psychiatrist. You need a brain scan. Tell her you need a CT scan of your brain, now. Sarah's heart pounded. How could she explain that the voices in her head were giving her medical advice? But something in their urgency made her speak up. Dr. Thompson, I know this sounds crazy, but could I have a brain scan? The doctor frowned. Sarah, you don't have any symptoms that would indicate anything serious. No headaches, no vision problems. Please, Sarah insisted, feeling the voices encouraging her. I have this feeling. Would you have pushed for that scan? Or would you have trusted the doctor's assessment and gone to see a psychiatrist instead? Reluctantly, Dr. Thompson agreed to order a CT scan, more to ease Sarah's anxiety than because she thought it was medically necessary. During the week leading up to the scan, something changed. The voices were still there, but they seemed calmer, almost relieved. Good, Sarah, they would whisper. You're doing the right thing. Soon, you'll understand everything. The day of the scan, Sarah lay still as the massive machine whirred around her head, taking detailed pictures of her brain. When it was over, she was told results would be ready in a few days. She didn't have to wait. That evening, Dr. Thompson called. Her voice was shaken, almost disbelieving. Sarah, I need you to come in tomorrow morning, first thing, and bring your husband with you. Sarah's stomach dropped. What did you find? Just please come in tomorrow. That night, the voices were silent. Somehow, their absence was more terrifying than their constant chatter had been. The next morning, Sarah and her husband Mark sat across from Dr. Thompson. The brain scan was displayed on the light board, and even to Sarah's untrained eye, something was clearly, terrifyingly wrong. A dark mass, large, ominous. "Sarah," Dr. Thompson began, her voice barely steady. "When you asked for this scan, I thought it was unnecessary. I thought you were just anxious. But," she pointed to the shadow on the scan, "you have a brain tumor, a large one." Mark's face went white. He grabbed Sarah's hand. "It's in your left temporal lobe, and frankly, I'm amazed you haven't been experiencing severe symptoms. Tumors this size typically cause debilitating headaches, seizures, vision problems. But somehow you've had none of that," she continued. "Sarah, if you hadn't insisted on this scan, this tumor could have killed you within months." That night, as Sarah processed the impossible reality of her situation, the voices returned. But now they sounded different, satisfied, proud. "You see, Sarah? We told you something was wrong. You listened to us, and now the doctors can help you." "Who are you?" Sarah whispered into the darkness. "How did you know?" "We've been with you for a while, Sarah. We've been waiting for the right moment to speak, the only moment that mattered." 3 days later, Sarah underwent an 8-hour surgery to remove the tumor. Her neurosurgeon, Dr. James Mitchell, later confirmed their worst fears. It was malignant, a fast-growing glioblastoma that would have been fatal within 6 months. But here's where this story becomes truly extraordinary. When Sarah woke up from surgery, groggy and disoriented, the voices were still there, but they sounded different now, fainter, distant. "Sarah," they whispered, so quietly she had to strain to hear them. "We're going to leave you now. Our job is done." "Wait," Sarah said, or maybe just thought. "Don't go. I need to understand." "We found what we needed to find, Sarah. The doctors removed it. You're going to be fine. We're sorry we frightened you, but it was the only way to save you, the only way to make you listen." And then, as clearly as they had first appeared months ago in her kitchen, the voices spoke their final words. "Goodbye, Sarah. We're glad we could help. Perhaps we'll meet again when you need us most." After that, complete silence. The voices never returned. Now, you might think this story is too incredible to be true, but Sarah's case was documented and published in the British Medical Journal. It's been studied by neurologists worldwide. The medical explanation? The tumor may have triggered a form of beneficial hallucination, Sarah's brain somehow becoming hyper-aware of the tumor's presence and communicating that awareness through voices. But think about this for a moment. The voices didn't just tell Sarah something was wrong. They specifically told her to get a brain scan. They demonstrated medical knowledge that Sarah herself didn't possess. They knew exactly what test would detect the problem. How do you explain that? Dr. Mitchell, her neurosurgeon, put it this way. "It's as if Sarah's subconscious mind accessed information her conscious mind couldn't and found a way to communicate a medical emergency in the only way that would make her act." But Sarah has a different theory. She believes that sometimes, when we're in mortal danger, our minds can access a level of awareness we don't normally have. That consciousness is far more mysterious than we understand. "Those voices saved my life," she said years later. "I don't need a scientific explanation. I know what I experienced. I know they were real, and I know they cared about me." Sarah made a complete recovery. The tumor was entirely removed. She lived for another 35 years, until 2019, when she died peacefully at age 70. Not from cancer, from old age, surrounded by her children and grandchildren. Throughout those 35 years, she never heard the voices again, but she never forgot them either. Here's what I want you to think about. We live in a world where we believe we understand the limits of human consciousness. But what if we don't? What if, in moments of life-threatening danger, some deeper part of our awareness kicks in to save us? Have you ever had an inexplicable feeling that something was wrong? A gut instinct you couldn't explain but couldn't ignore? Maybe that's not just intuition. Maybe that's something more. Whether Sarah's voices were neuroscience, coincidence, or something beyond our current understanding, one thing is undeniable: they saved her life. So the next time you have that nagging feeling, that voice in the back of your mind telling you something isn't right with your health, maybe you should listen. Because sometimes the most important conversation you'll ever have is the one with the voice inside your own head. Maybe we just haven't learned how to hear what our minds and bodies already know. But Sarah heard, and she lived to tell about it.